We've got the NFL draft coming up. These are going to be my top 24 wide receiver rankings of rookies that are coming out. Before we get into it, guys, just do me a quick favor there. Smash that like for me. Smash that subscribe if you're new. But let's get right to it. We know in tier one, we've got these main three guys: Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. And mix and match it however you want. If you have one guy over the other, that's absolutely fine. What's going to happen when we actually get the destinations, when we get the situations? Like, what if Marvin Harrison goes to the Patriots? And then what if Neighbors goes to the Chargers, right? Are we taking Neighbors now over Marvin Harrison in that situation? I think we might be. All three of these guys have wide receiver one talent written all over them. So we'll see what the situation is. But of course, these are the guys in the top tier. Guys, I know I don't have the names on the players, so it's going to be hard to kind of tell all the faces, but I'll go over each one in all the tiers so you know exactly who they are. And tier two is a small tier. I only have two guys in tier two. That's going to be my wide receiver 4 and wide receiver 5. My wide receiver 4 leading off this tier. He has tremendous potential. We see the touchdown potential. Can he expand his route tree and really grow into the wide receiver 1 that we really think that he possibly can be? Sharing the field with Malik Neighbors, he still was able to produce a monster season. Projected first round pick, I've seen him go to the Colts. I've seen him go to the Bengals in multiple mock drafts. We'll see where he winds up going. And then we've got Troy Franklin. A lot of people have been a little bit sour on Troy Franklin. He's fallen down draft boards. The combine was not good to him. We saw how he ran the gauntlet, kind of going in and out, very zigzaggish, not straight line at all. It actually came out that he was sick during the combine and he actually had a much better pro day, but he's got the production to back up the talent. He's got a good draft profile, and he and Brian Thomas in this tier solely alone for me because I think that they can be wide receiver 2s with that wide receiver 1 possible upside. We'll see where the draft capital and landing spot is for these guys. Then we got the third tier here, starting off with A.D. Mitchell. Didn't have a monster season for Texas, but he's got potential. He's got the route running skills. It's just a matter of kind of putting it all together and finding himself in the right situation. We've seen him go at the end of first rounds in mock drafts. Can he go to a Chiefs, a Bills? We shall see. But I think that there is some possible wide receiver 1 potential for him. But I think he's more of a wide receiver 2, like most of these guys in this tier, like Xavier Worthy. And yes, I've got A.D. Mitchell over Xavier Worthy just because of that potential and that upside, where I think Worthy is going to be a good player. I think he's relatively safe, but I don't necessarily see him becoming some kind of wide receiver 1. I think he's a little more safe wide receiver 2-ish. Of course, he's got the blazing 40-yard dash, which a lot of people have compared to John Ross. But this guy, Xavier Worthy, actually has good college production, and he's able to run routes. He's not just some kind of deep threat. He can be all over the field. Then we've got Ladd McConkey. Everybody's talking up Ladd McConkey, possibly one of the best route runners in this class, but the knock on him is he just has no college production and he stays getting injured. So he just doesn't have that college production in his profile, which doesn't look good. But can we just look at the tape and put that college production behind us? It's hard to just say college production doesn't count at all. So I can see why some people may be a little bit hesitant on Ladd McConkey, but I think he's a very safe player. I don't think he necessarily has that wide receiver 1 upside for us in fantasy, but I think he can be a really solid wide receiver 2 given the right situation. Then we've got my boy Javon Baker right after that, followed up by Ricky Pearsall. I like all of these guys in this tier, and the situation is really going to determine kind of what happens with these guys. And Javon Baker and Pearsall have risen up draft boards dramatically in the last few months. Brings us to tier 4. There's a few guys I really like here, but it's really going to be spot dependent, situation dependent, where these guys end up and what they're going to do. You've got Xavier Legette, who only 1 year of college production, did not do anything other than that last senior year. But he's a big physical guy. People compare him to DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. Can he just sharpen up that route running? Can he, as a raw talent, be a guy that can progress and be something in the NFL. So depending on what team he goes to, same thing with Keon Coleman, right? Keon Coleman, just a freak of an athlete, ran the gauntlet at a awesome speed, but then his 40 wasn't great. Not great at contested catches. There's a lot of question marks about Keon Coleman, another raw athlete. So it really is going to matter where this guy ends up, if he's going to be able to progress. Us as dynasty managers, we have no patience. We have no patience whatsoever. If you're not producing in that first year, we're labeling you a bust pretty much as far as the dynasty community is concerned. We don't give guys 2 years, 3 years time nowadays. Unless you're getting that high draft capital like Drake London, Chris Olave, JSN. These guys still have value because of the draft capital that they have. I don't think Keon Coleman or maybe even Xavier Legette is going to get that kind of draft capital in the first round. And then ending off this tier, we've got Roman Wilson, another guy who's going to be spot dependent, a pretty much pure slot wide receiver. I like him a lot, but where is he going to end up? I don't believe any of these guys in tier 4 have that wide receiver 1 potential. I think these could be possibly wide receiver 2s at best case scenario, but we'll see where these guys end up, what kind of situations they go to. Going into tier 5, we got the two Washington boys, Polk and McMillan. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Both have 1,000-yard seasons. McMillan dealt with an injury, but these guys can play. I think they're a little bit underrated, and I think the NFL is really going to like them. They did put up solid college production, and I have both of these guys in the top of tier 5. Malachi Corley right after that. He's a guy, over 100 catches, awesome, but he was more towards the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, everything at the line of scrimmage. You kind of have to manufacture, you have to game plan touches for him. Now, how is that going to translate to the NFL, where a lot of people are labeling him the next Deebo Samuel? How is an NFL team going to use him? Is he just going to be some kind of gimmick guy, some kind of screen guy, or is he going to be like a real big part of a game plan? So that remains to be seen. That's the questions we have. Then you've got Tez Walker. He's in the right spots. The guy can run routes. He's a good deep ball guy. And if he keeps finding himself in the right spots at the right times, good things are going to happen. Malik Washington, next up, one of the best slot wide receivers in this class. And then we've got Jermaine Burton, who I think has just been a little bit underrated. He didn't really do crazy much as far as his production, but he is a really good wide receiver. I think he's a little bit underrated, and we'll see where he winds up going in the NFL draft. Then we get into the last tier, which is tier 6. We have Brendan Rice. We have Jacob Cowing. I like both of these guys, but they're kind of at the end for me, at the bottom of this list. And then Johnny Wilson, a guy I don't particularly like. Does he wind up going to be a tight end? Do they move him to the tight end position? Freakish athlete. Luke McCaffrey, I'll actually put him ahead of Johnny Wilson. Luke McCaffrey is just a pure football player. Obviously, brother of CMC, pure football player, high IQ. Does he find himself in a situation where he gets a chance to play and prove what he can do? And my sleeper to end this list is going to be Jalen Coker from Holy Cross. Not many people are talking about him. I've only seen Steve Smith mention him, but a guy that broke 1,000 yards last year, 900 yards in 2022, over 600 in 2021. 2023, 1,035 yards, which accounted for almost 50% of the receiving yards on that team. 15 touchdowns, only a total of 25 receiving touchdowns, over 50% of the team's receiving touchdowns. This guy can run crisp routes. Like, definitely check out some of the tape on Jalen Coker. You can see how good of a route runner he is, and his hands, the way that he's able to just go and pluck the ball. He comes back to the football. He can pluck it out of the sky. He's a guy that goes and gets it. I really do like him. Obviously, he went to a smaller school, not a ton of competition, but horrible offense, horrible quarterback play. And this guy was still able to dominate on that team. But that is pretty much it. A top 24-ish rookie dynasty wide receivers that are coming in. Let me know what you guys think about these tiers, about these players. Where do you have some of these guys? Drop it in the comments below. And before you get out of here, just do me a quick favor. Smash that like for me. Smash that subscribe if you're new. Appreciate y'all. See y'all on the next one.